Hey, welcome to Living Out Loud Live. It is show number 7. We were
Oh
we
my
were
gosh.
gone last week because Jaime was sick. We had a bunch of shit happen. We've got a lot to come. Yeah, see, I already got the first curse word out. We're good for the night. We're ready to go. Um, Welcome. My name's Vicki. I'm a middle-aged transgender woman, your anesthesiologist for this evening. Breathe deep and count backwards from 10 to 1 as we welcome you to the home of controversies. Tonight, we are going to be terminating some misconceptions around reproductive rights and their intersection with women's rights, also LGBTQIA plus rights. We are also going to touch a little on religious fundamentalism that is driving so many violations of civil rights in our country. Scrubbing up for this procedure is my friend and co-hostess with the mostest, Laura, originator of the Living Out Loud podcast and outspoken Rainbow Mafia ally.
Hello,
Welcome,
hello,
Laura.
hello, hello, hello. Hello. I used to be a scrub nurse, so I love scrubbing in for this. This is great. And watching over everything from our operational theater, of course, our resident chief of staff, Jaime, well known in the LGBTQIA rainbow community as an activist, wife, and mom of 3. And of course, one of her children includes the most famous and amazing Dempsey, who I truly believe is going to be a president of the United States. Well, that's only if she chooses it. Otherwise, maybe she'll run NASA. Who knows what she wants to do? She's fierce.
Is she too young to run at 24? Can we just put her on the ballot as write-in?
You can write her in. Exactly.
Dempsey for president.
Yes.
No más pendejos.
That's right.
I think I got it right.
Welcome, Jaime.
Hey, how is everybody?
We're good. We're here. It's like every time we're together, it's always a good time. All together, we are the queens of the overshare, especially in our own hospital. Welcome to all of you joining us in replay or live. This is an opinion show. All of the opinions are our own, so you may hear some things you don't agree with. You can join the discourse on the comments. But we will just block people who troll us, so, that happens. Fair warning, we will forget about you. We kind of get involved in the discussion and forget that we are doing a live stream sometimes, which is because it's fun and we're just talking. But we will try to check in with the chat when we can. Tonight we have more than usual to unpack, but we're splitting stuff up. Next week, no controversy. We're going to have a real fun show. Laura, you want to tell them what's coming next week?
Yes. So next week, Mama Ashley Rose is going to be joining us. We are going to have her reading to us. For one thing, we're going to ask her to do us a beautiful favor. And then also just talk about what's going on here. Always, we want to make sure we're bringing the positive, but in a real way, because there are some difficult things to talk about. But the fact that she was just named like the #1 drag show performer in Lakeland, I mean, that just tells you how much her love is speaking louder than everything else, because the community is rallying around her. So I'm super, super excited about that.
Yeah, I'm coming in jammies. It's going to be bedtime.
It's bedtime stories, yes. I'm all up for the jammies.
It's really going to be fun.
Oh, I need Halloween jammies now. Yes.
We are going to try to push the stories along as much as possible. It's a free-for-all. You're free to tell us we're full of crap. Bring the snark. Ask the questions you want to ask in the chat. We love it. Because this is a show. It's not a show. It's a discussion. So, are we ready?
We're ready.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, so as always, fun and friendship comes first. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go around the table and talk about everything that we're drinking. We're going to unpack Space Coast Pride and just talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly that's happened in the past 2 weeks. So tonight I am having a mocha chai latte for this evening, and I do have a beautiful hydration, which is a drip drop that is with me also to keep my salt levels up. It's very, very exciting and lovely. I do just want to say, before next show, next Tuesday, I actually have to go for a tilt table test. So that will be rather interesting to see how I'm going to feel after that. So it's going to be very, very interesting. So, but that is what I have this evening. So, Miss Jaime, what are you drinking?
Drinking wine as usual because I'm the resident wino, and it's been a long day at school. And I have my gifted megaphone next to me. Yay!
Oh,
Yay! I want to bring it into my class, so I'm deciding when. I think my fifth period is a little rough, so I think I might bring it into my fifth period. Get somebody's attention. But yeah, Space Coast Pride was awesome. School's been just kind of busy, and we've had walkthroughs and observations, so that's always fun. I had a big one yesterday where there was like more adults in the room than children, and there was like they had like auditor pens, and I'm like I felt kind of like you know those the old fashioned like trained seals where they like balance the ball on their head. That's what I felt like yesterday. So I'm glad that's over.
So you were doing tricks.
Yeah, I was. And I was like, how did I do? Yeah. So I'm glad that's over. And yeah, that's been me so far. So Vicki, what about you?
I am drinking a lovely spiked lemonade this evening because this was a hard one to research. This is a tough topic, but and I'm going to make it even tougher. So everybody, fair warning. I did a video of Space Coast Pride of some of our pictures. I couldn't even get through what I wanted to say without getting totally emotional. So I recorded it and put it together. So we're going to watch it. And
yeah, but before you play that, I just want to say something about that because I got a chance to kind of preview it. So something that was not captured in there and is something that spoke the most to me about this entire setup. So I just want to talk about that before we go there because I don't know if I'm going to be able to afterwards, okay, to be fair. So one of the most amazing things about the three of us is actually how short of time that we've actually known each other in person. I met Jaime in person on March 26th of this year. And I met Vicki on her birthday on June 1st. You notice how I did learn that earlier.
Dates are important.
But it's June. It's
right.
So it's good. It's like it's somewhere in there.
So then I just want to talk about, they even said, so they had 24,000 people at Space Coast Pride, right? Yes. 24,000 people. They have so many of their shops.
54%. That's up from last year, 54%.
Yep. There are booths and vendor booths everywhere. It was kind of like in a T shape, I'd like to say, how it was like laid out and everything, right? We had done the parade and everything. And after the parade, we had all kind of had to go do our own thing again, which we always do. And then what happened is me and Vicki were kind of walking together and we're like, you know what? Let's get something to eat. Let's go inside somewhere.
Well, let's be fair. John was hangry.
Oh, yeah. John was very hangry. Oh, my God. If I did not get John some food pretty quick, it was pretty funny because they got to see John hangry because John is not always delightful if he's hangry, he is not delightful is all I have to say.
Dempsey. That's how Dempsey is, too.
That's why I understand Dempsey so well. I'm like, I understand that. You just need to feed it. I get it. And until then, you just pacify it. I get it. So we randomly select. Like there's all these different wonderful places around. Tons. We randomly select this restaurant. Now, on top of everything, we go in there and they just lead us to the back, which is perfectly fine and dandy. But as they're doing that, there's lots of tables open that we're passing. And then as we walk in the back, there is Dennis and Dempsey sitting at a table in this completely empty room other than them.
Yep.
And then we're like,
I was in the bathroom.
Yeah, you were in the bathroom. So then, we sit down. We had an absolutely phenomenal meal where we got to just have fun and just be ourselves and just talk about the fun things and enjoy each other's company and get to know each other. And then on the way out, I noticed how packed the front of the restaurant was. So
it was packed in the back too. We brought all the people in the back.
We did.
Every table that was empty, everybody was there. Like,
Yeah.
it was full.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And that was something that, like, to be able to be at an event like that and we just find each other and gravitate. That just speaks volumes about everything that goes on here.
It got worse than that, because while we're sitting there, Laura is like, see, and she said, the three of us, we're magic. It's just trans magic. And sure enough, I was walking by one of the vendor booths and there was this cross stitch with the transgender colors that said transgender magic. So I bought that and it's going to hang up in our house. But it really is.
That's awesome.
It's all touched us in different ways. It's all part of who we are for whatever reason. Me, obviously, it's a little more obvious why. But, you know, the fact that we have, like Laura said, we're sisters. We really are sisters and good friends. And there's no reason why it should feel like we've been that way forever, but it just does. So I'm gonna hit the video. You might want to have some Kleenex nearby. Here we go. You will find your tribe, Laura told me. And she will say she is very proud she popped our Pride March cherries, but what I saw on the smile on her face was a proud and nurturing and affirming friend. She brought us to see the love that binds us like a community tether. She saw me on the verge of ugly tears of joy almost all weekend. It was beautiful and uplifting and marked a whole other kind of anniversary for me. Laura and Jaime really are like best friends and sisters, and fortunately are kind of used to me as an emotional woman. I describe myself as old and new at the same time. I try to live my life with light and love. Just over a year ago, I thought I was going to die of cancer. More to the point, I wanted to die, period. I thought if I had breast cancer, it was a merciful God's way of answering my prayers not to be here anymore. My wife and I were coexisting in the same space, but not really connecting with each other. I had not been able to get hold of my therapist for a few years. I later found out she died from COVID. My gender dysphoria was really bad, and I felt like I was going through the motions of life, but I really didn't have one. Maybe someone out there is listening to this now in that really dark place, looking at their own personal world, afraid to lose it all, afraid of the rejection of their family and friends, at the point where living in the closet feels more like a solitary prison sentence. If you're wondering if death is easier than living as transgender, it's not. There's hope. I was so close to giving up on the precious gift of life so many times that it's really a miracle that I'm still here. Please, if you never hear anything else from our little show, and you are one of those people who need help, please hear this. There is a community of people who suffer with, or just understand as much as they can, what you are going through. You are not crazy. You are not alone. You don't have to suffer in the darkness. There is help. Even if you never decide to transition, even if your non-binary has you tied up not knowing which way to go, your light was put on this world for a reason. Please do not throw the gift of life away. My journey, my nightmare, turned into a fairy tale. I say that my life is a grim fairy tale with a happy ending. Not that anyone should follow my path. I found out I transitioned very quickly, but it's a different journey for everyone. Looking back at where I was a year ago is painful. I would be happy to forget what I was and where I came from then. But if my story helps anyone find a path forward to true happiness, I will keep reliving it. So what can change in a year? Beyond going to Space Coast Pride Fest with my sisters here, my name and gender are correct. I have been medically transitioning for almost the full year. My wife and I are really on a path of love and life together, filled with hope and a new passion for each other. My whole physical body is becoming more feminine, but my brain, which always was, and my heart and my body connection is 100% now what it was always supposed to be. I have absolutely zero thoughts of self-harm. I have joy and pride in who and what I am. I am proof that transgender medical treatment is life-saving and life-giving. I have an amazing community of friends and family that love and support who I am becoming and who I am able to pour my love and friendship into, especially Laura and Jaime, Vicki and Deirdre, who are in my closest circles of joy. Is this what I chose to be? No, nor would I wish gender dysphoria on anyone. Am I proud of the life that I'm building as a transgender lesbian woman? Fuck yes. And for me, this isn't a curse any longer. So was I emotional at Space Coast Pride Fest? Yes. For someone who never felt like she fit in, for a girl who spent most of her time alone, this was home with some of the people I love the most, and I missed the ones who couldn't make it so much. My life now is a beautiful journey. It's filled with love and light, and I can't wait to see where it's going to take me next.
Have you ever been the face, been the object of someone's hate? Like you stood all alone. Have you ever felt this way? Have you ever been betrayed, labeled words you just can't say? Suffered silently, wanting to be erased. There's a reason to believe again when faith is nowhere to be found. Try to find the strength to try again and stand on solid ground. You keep searching for a hero. You just want to find a friend. You just want to make a difference. Bring this battle to an end. All the words can make you stronger when you learn how to look within. 'Cause you're the hero that you're after. You are the hero, hero. You are the hero, hero. You are the hero, hero. You are the hero. Have you ever wanted peace, to feel the freedom of release? Whispered quietly, but now it's time to scream. 'Cause mercy triumphs over judgment. Light will always shine in darkness. Ooh, and you won't get the best of me. There's a reason to believe again and stand on solid ground. Yeah. You keep searching for a hero. You just want to find a friend. You just want to make a difference. Bring this battle to an end. All the words can make you stronger when you learn how to look within. 'Cause you're the hero that you're after. You are the hero, hero. You are the hero, hero. You are the hero, hero. You are the hero. Don't let them break you, take you
And that's our show.
Now you know why I said that beforehand.
Well, fuck you both for not giving me a better heads up. I didn't bring tissues. You only told me I was already sitting here. Fuck.
I know. I could not even imagine you not being in my life, Miss Vicki. Like I can't even imagine it. And like the
It's a whole
thought
different life
to me that you would ever think your light wasn't worth being here. I hope that you never ever feel that way ever again. And if you ever do, the very first thing you need to do is reach out to me so I can remind you how amazing you are.
Yeah.
And how amazing you make me feel.
Some people need serotonin, some people need Prozac, some people need a lot of things, and there's nothing wrong with needing whatever you need to get out.
I
of
need
that
salt.
hole. Who knew lowering the testosterone, which was happening, and that's what caused this to all happen on its own, and raising the estrogen would make such a difference. I'm not who I was. I'm not even close. And I'm really proud of me, and I'm really proud of the family that we have, because I mean, we're talking about vacations. We're talking about, oh shit, we got stuff we got to do. We got all these marches. We want to make a difference in this world. But when I was realizing it had been a year, really a year, I remembered that the difference that I want to make the most is I don't want anybody else to go through what I went through. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are just alone, and they shouldn't be.
No, they should not be.
No.
No, they need to know that they are loved and they are worthy. I think when we were watching it marching in Miami Pride, one of Jamie's sons turned to her the one time and said, "Why does she keep yelling that?"
Because somebody who has never heard
Jamie's
those words
like,
before.
I think she's like, that's just
Yeah.
Laura.
Somebody who has never heard those words before, or hasn't
Yeah.
heard those words in a long time, is going to hear those words, and those are the words that they need to hear. For me, it's you girls, my friends. You made me this, Frankenstein's bride bitch kind of a person that I am, but I'm happy cobbled together with a little bit of everybody, because I have the best people around me. I have genuinely amazing people around me. I'm lucky. I'm very lucky, and I know it.
I think we're all lucky.
Yeah.
I think we're all very, very lucky. I know I'm very lucky. I mean, I felt very blessed to get to be part of Jamie's world, and just getting to have her take me under her wing, and just, I told her one day, I'll just follow you anywhere. Just let me know where you're going. I'll follow you.
I don't even know
I'll just
where the
follow
hell
you
I'm
around
going,
with
but-
a little check. But you see, I think that might be the best part of it. It's kind of like a Golden Girls thing. I don't think any of us know where we're going, but somehow I think we're all going
all
there
gonna be
together.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. With cheesecake. We need cheesecake.
With cheesecake.
Oh, yes. Okay, now we know what the dessert for the Halloween party is going to be.
Yes.
The dessert for the Halloween party is we're going to have to do some kind of cheesecakes now.
Yes. Cheesecake is a must.
By the way, Lisa just came in and literally stood at the entryway of my little office, and oh my god, I feel so bad. So I'm hoping she's drying off right now, because it looked like the ocean just collapsed on her.
She looked like a drowned rat.
Oh no.
Oh, the kitty cat that got stuck out in the rain.
It's bad. It's bad. I feel bad for her.
Lisa, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing
No.
at the horrible situation
Yeah.
and how you're going to
Dry off.
find joy in it.
Fucking Central Florida, right?
Hmm.
It was 91% humidity this morning. Do you get that? 91% humidity. Like,
I'd like
it
to
was
be in
literally
Vegas right now.
78 degrees
Dry.
outside. However, with the humidity, it felt like 84. The humidity made it feel hotter. I mean, where the hell else can you go where it's like that?
I go outside and my glasses fog up. I can't even see.
Yes. I've gone out and my contact lenses have fucking fogged up. How the hell is that possible?
I don't know how that's possible. Yeah.
All right. So we've already burned a half hour on just crying and me making everybody cry and not intending to. So I'm gonna play the bumper. Let's get into the show that people actually tuned in to see. Holy smokes.
I almost just spit my ginger ale out of my mouth.
Now, we don't know if they were allowed to use birth control or not. We don't know if the right is trying to control ladybug.
Ladybug.
Well, they say lady in them, so I think we can answer that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even the males use lady. That's just wrong.
Right. So if they're not allowed, we should be outlawing ladybugs.
We have to define them as boy bugs and girl bugs.
How do you identify the sex of a ladybug?
Oh no.
Oh shit. All right. Off we go. One of the most divisive and complex issues in the last several decades of our country's history has been the battle over reproductive rights. This extends well beyond the battle of abortion. Now, most people think we're just going to talk about abortion. This crosses religious ideologies, literally breaks families and friends apart. So welcome to the Thunderdome. This is one of those places where it's either freedom from religion or fundamentalist values overriding civil rights. This is not a space we can agree to disagree. So I'm going to put that right up front. So ladies, buckle up. This one relies heavily on statistical breakdown of opinion to make some of the most critical points. And as we often do with the most complex subjects, let's start with some background history with our resident historian, Jaime.
All right. Well, let's go way back and start with the Dark Ages. The early 20th century. While men are there celebrating their grand and glorious accomplishments, women are struggling for access to birth control. It's extremely limited and often illegal. Planned Parenthood was founded in 1916 by Margaret Sanger. Now, we aren't going to skate over the controversy with Sanger herself, but she really did help push the movement for reproductive rights, helped establish the birth control pill, and fought against the state and federal Comstock laws. Those laws were established in 1873, labeled contraceptives as obscene and illicit, and made it a federal offense to send them by mail or move them across state lines.
But I just played a video of two ladybugs fucking.
Yes.
So we've come a long way.
Yes, we have.
I loved the movie Smokey and the Bandit when it came out, but I don't imagine it would have the same impact if Bandit and the Snowman were trying to smuggle a truckload of condoms through the country. But in essence, that's where we were, right?
Right.
Breaker for Bandit. Here's the Snowman. We got to haul ass with these rubbers. Just doesn't seem the same kind of comical appeal. Or maybe it does. I don't know.
Well, you're making me laugh. I keep thinking of these ladybugs. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have that image like burned in my head. All right. So
when you go into work tomorrow and there's a ladybug sitting on your desk, we'll just know.
Oh my god. All right. So Sanger, let's go back to Sanger. So she's also a proponent of eugenics, which in essence is a theory that society can be improved through this idea of selective breeding. Let's take out the bad parts, right?
Right.
Not a
Sounds
good
like
look.
Hitler. Kind of.
Yeah,
Hitler
not
was
a good
proponent. Yeah.
But then unfortunately, that led to her alignment with organizations that naturally promote white supremacy.
The irony of this is that it's used to promote the idea that the modern Planned Parenthood has a racist agenda, directed by the people who actually have the actual racist agenda.
Yeah,
It's the finger
funniest
pointing
thing.
system again. It's like the
Yes.
It's like they should be pointing back at themselves, but
Me. Yeah.
now
you know
I,
when you point at somebody, you get 3 fingers pointing back at you.
Mm.
Jamie, you
And with
always-
me, because I'm so bendy, my thumb does that too. So look, I got 4.
Oh my God, Jamie, you always have a better perspective on some of this stuff. Is there any better person that we can uphold as a champion of reproductive rights? I mean, because it was hard to find anybody that stuck out other than Sanger and Planned Parenthood, and the fact that, again, my favorite, the fundamentalist right-wing a-holes are trying to break down Planned Parenthood while they really want to be fascists and control everybody's bodies and who's going to have what kids and what we can do and say and all that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Is there anybody else that we can go?
Honestly, I mean, I racked my brain on this one. This is tough. The person that keeps coming to my mind is, RBG, but it's not necessarily just on reproductive rights. But
Yeah.
Ruth Bader
Feminist,
Ginsburg
yeah.
is a
But
big
that's
one.
a good one. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
I mean, I really thought about it today, and it's tough because there's so many reproductive rights activists nowadays. There you go. She's so it's I don't know. That's a hard one. It's a really hard one. The fight over access to abortion built over time. Desperate women risking their lives to obtain extremely dangerous backroom abortions with hangers and whatnot. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's you basically watch the movie Dirty Dancing, right? Because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Penny. Yep.
Better choice would be The Strong Woman, the story of women, which is based on the life of Marie Louise Guerre. We all know I cannot say words, so I do apologize. Who, in 1943, was the last woman to be guillotined in France after being convicted for her illegal work as an abortionist.
Yeah, she did the abortions in her home, in her kitchen. And that's how desperate women were. And she was the last
And still
person,
are.
Still are.
Well, yeah, back in Florida now we're yeah, it's so, but it's a very strong movie. It's a very hard movie to watch. It really does tell a tale of where we were. And that's 1943. This is not that long ago, ladies. This is scary.
What I want to say here is what is so scary is a lot of people might not know this, but I'm a nurse, and in nursing, when I went to nursing school back in 1995, the only thing that you really got taught was this is a labia, this is the vagina, all this stuff. I actually watched a show on I think it's Netflix or HBO or something, where it talks about the anatomy of a woman. I learned more watching a show on one of our web-based browsers than I have as a nurse. And that's how little funding is put into understanding women. And I know we're talking about reproductive health here, but I am sorry, I'm going to be remiss if I didn't say that women's bodies are not the same as men, and in healthcare in general, we need to be looked at vastly different. Sorry, that's my plug. They didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wasn't until 1973's Roe versus Wade that legalized abortion in the United States, based on a woman's right to medical privacy. We all know that last year it was overturned.
That's a big one. It was all based on privacy.
Yeah,
and now
privacy,
they're taking that away.
Which is HIPAA. So I don't understand how they can take it away when we have HIPAA laws. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, this tipped the scales against states that were just determined to safeguard life based on religious ideology towards a woman's right to choose. Pro-life versus pro-choice would echo through American politics, and it still does very much today. Everyone has an opinion on it. The 80s and the 90s saw both sides organize and entrench. Protests, clinic bombings, the harassment of healthcare providers were common news stories. I remember growing up as a teenager. They were politicians started using polarizing opinions on both sides of the argument to garner support during their campaigns, and it became commonplace to push for candidates' personal views on subject.
And the movie Dirty Dancing came out.
Enough with the Dirty Dancing references, Vicki.
No one puts Vicki in a corner.
I knew that was coming.
But there's also a spectrum of reproductive rights that have a significant impact on the LGBTQIA community that are hotly debated based largely on religious and personal opinions about the validity of sexual and gender identity, including our favorite word, intersectionality, where it is essential to recognize that LGBTQIA individuals face many forms of discrimination and increasing barriers to reproductive health care. For instance, transgender individuals may face challenges with access to fertility preservation with their transitioning, hormone therapy, family planning, which leads to
access to assisted reproductive technologies, for instance. Many LGBTQIA people may rely on access to these medical technologies, such as in vitro fertilization, IVF, or artificial insemination to start families. Access to these services is also often essential for same-sex couples and transgender individuals who wish to have biological children of their own.
That's right. Surrogacy and adoption, which was widely debated even just a few short years ago, as to whether those rights should extend to LGBTQIA plus individuals and couples. Laws and regulations surrounding these processes can vary by location and still impact LGBTQIA plus individuals' ability to become parents, and increasing limitations on legal protections in areas such as parental rights, the ability to make decisions regarding assisted reproductive technologies, and the recognition of non-biological parents in same-sex couples. I've had one direct experience with the next one, growing barriers to care. This is discrimination limiting access for people in the LGBTQIA plus community, often with life-saving access, so just basic emergency services. Here in Florida, quote unquote, doctors do not have to treat you, diagnose you, do anything beyond save your life.
They have a morality clause.
Yes. If it's
Which
against...
I'm confused by that, because they took an oath to do no harm. So I do not understand how they can fall under a morality clause if the oath that they took supersedes their morals. So once again, I really have a big, huge issue with all of this related to that.
Well, let's call it what it is. It's legalized discrimination. That's all it is. It's
And all of this should be part of HIPAA, which I still do not understand, because for psychiatric issues and substance abuse issues, it requires 2 forms of consent to even access any of those medical records to somebody. Yet all of this is all of that. I mean, forcing somebody to have a baby is detrimental to their mental health.
Forcing people like me to be on a list with the state health department because we want access to hormones, which we've established are life-saving
Hitler's
hormones.
list.
Yeah, it's that. And Jamie, This is your sphere.
Well, I mean, health education, there's a risk to teenagers being sexually active. Sorry if that's a huge shocker to anyone in the audience who just arrived on the frickin' Mayflower. Kids are having unprotected promiscuous sex, and I'm gonna add it here. I didn't know if I was gonna do it, but you know what? Hello, I was a 16-year-old once too, and if I hadn't had access to an abortion when I was 16 years old, my life would look very different right now. And so I'm just putting that out there, and that's my story, and I'm willing to share it. But I mean, I cannot believe how different my life would have been if I hadn't been able to make that decision for myself at 16 years old. But there are simple ways to mitigate these risks. It takes education to help prevent both unintended pregnancies and unintended sexually transmitted diseases. Hard to have a proper discourse on how to protect LGBT sexually identifying people when you can't say gay in fucking high school. Okay?
We're going to talk about ladybug sex today.
So
I got it. I'm sorry. It's true that it's like, Holy shit. So focusing about for a moment back on the controversial subject of abortion, I hotly debated in my own mind what kind of balance and clarity the three of us could bring to this issue. This was a hard episode to write. This was a hard episode to research. Our stance firmly on bodily autonomy, medical privacy, unrestricted access by adults to birth control, especially after our show on feminism, could not be in question. And we can't even pretend the illusion of balanced debate in this area. We can't even pretend to take on the opposite side. I don't believe we add any additional insight into concepts like the sanctity of life or when life begins, because those totally and completely depend on opinion based on your religious viewpoint or just how you feel about the subject, right? My own mother, who is about the staunchest conservative woman you will ever find, she's a Nixon Republican. She was pro-choice her entire life. So I've been impacted directly as well. My marriage, one of my previous marriages, my wife decided she didn't want to carry our child. She got pregnant accidentally. And even though it was crushing, that was her choice. And I respected that. It broke us apart in many ways because it was hard to kind of deal with that. But it wasn't like I was arguing against her right to choose that. It was just that it was terribly sad. And
yeah. That's an emotion that you were allowed to have, is to feel sad on that. For my side, I have different abortion stories, so I'm gonna share them with you because there's several of them actually. So the first I want to say is I actually worked as a labor and delivery nurse. So I actually did that, and I actually was a scrub nurse. So I've actually witnessed firsthand a child being a 12-year-old giving birth to her uncle's baby because the family was forcing her to do that, because in their religion, that is what was God's will.
God's will was her uncle was a fucking pervert?
A pedophile.
A pedophile.
Yeah.
So I've actually had to sit there and watch that. Now, I've also, being a labor and delivery nurse, I actually watched them try to save. So a woman was pregnant with triplets, and they tried to do a C-section to be able to deliver and get them all to safety. Unfortunately, because one was at risk. And unfortunately, she lost them all. Then I've also been in the operating room where the placenta wouldn't quit bleeding, and a 21-year-old had to have a hysterectomy. So those are all very different things. I've literally sat there and watched these things transpire in front of me. And I was raised very, very conservative. So my background is so much different than like yours, Jaime, and where, you were like brought into this as that like activism. And, even Vicki, you say you were raised very much with an activistic mother who, even felt those kind of strong bonds. However, I was raised where I knew my mother had tried to have a baby and had a very difficult time. She had 5 miscarriages before me, one with multiple twins, at least one with multiples of twins. And then she had multiple miscarriages after me. My mother had a very, very difficult time. But when my mother was pregnant with me, it was 1976. So they did offer her to have an abortion so that she did not have to go through those miscarriages and everything. My mom chose to go ahead with the pregnancy because she said she would always wonder, what if? So that was, how she felt as they were trying to push an abortion on her by giving her that choice. And I kind of always was raised not really understanding how I felt about it. Like I always felt like rape, incest, or medically necessary 100%. Like that was always just a part of me. But as I've grown older, and I had a conversation recently with my mom, where I actually had to say to her, Mom, nobody was forcing you to have an abortion. They gave you the choice.
Mm-hmm.
I said, and that's a choice now people don't have. That's a choice Kaylee doesn't have. And that's something that's very hard for me because everybody knows I have a lot of medical health issues. And when I was pregnant with my kids, with both of the girls, I got very, very sick and nearly died. Kaylee, I had to go through very bad counseling after, a lot of PTSD counseling after having her. And with her getting ready to start her own family, I'm scared to death because I looked at John both times when I was pregnant with Kaylee and with Ruth, and things started happening, and said, just to let you know, my life is always going to come first.
Mm-hmm.
I also had my tubes tied when I was 23 years old, which is something that you are not supposed to be allowed to do. And that was something that was very frustrating too, because I had a argument and tried to fight to get a tubal ligation. And that was ridiculous.
So let's clarify one thing, Laura, because that was Lisa with her, both her boys was the same. Her statement was, if it was her life or the child's, she's lived her life. The child should live, and that's, that was where she was at.
Correct.
Yeah. So,
But the point in this is everyone has their own choice.
Correct.
Yes,
that's everyone's choice. Choice is the key word here.
Right. And that is exactly the thing. I couldn't imagine leaving John to raise Kaylee, Ruth without me. Like that, I don't know how that would have happened either. You know what I mean? So not that I didn't value that, but I also know how sick I was. I mean, I literally was on death's door. I got both of my children here, but given the choice between me or knowing medically where what is considered viable and what is not considered viable, I knew at what point that baby could be taken out of me and was considered to be viable and what point it wasn't. And that is what was hard facts for me, because in the medical world, there's a viability stance. And that's why it gets so frustrating to me that medical people are spreading myths that we are doing late-term abortions on healthy fetuses. But the pro-life decision in our country does not reflect the will of the people, at least according to some of the data. The latest data. Yeah, the latest data. The most latest. A July Gallup poll showed that most Americans believe access to abortion should be legal, particularly in the first trimester, and that they disagree with the Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. But only 34% of the respondents felt abortion should be unrestricted, and only 3% of those polled had no opinion in the matter. So
this is a polarizing thing. Yeah.
So it boils down largely to an argument on what trimester is acceptable.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut into this with some statistics here, but before I do that, I just want to personally share that I think a lot of times people look at this objectively and say, oh, well, women are just making this decision irrationally and just walking in there. Coming from a person who has had an abortion at 16, okay, I will say that it was a gut-wrenching decision. It was very difficult. Once I made the decision, first of all, getting there was hard. At 16, it was just hard to come up with that decision. But then getting there to the clinic where people were throwing rosary beads at me, screaming that I was a murderer. I had to go by myself. I was alone. And then you had to watch. I mean, this was like in 94, I guess. And so you had to do the sonogram. You had to watch on the screen. You had to see this heartbeat, hear it. And then you're awake. You're like in this twilight sleep. You're awake for the procedure. It's painful. They give you a cookie and a thing of ginger ale so that you're not nauseous and throwing up. You're bleeding everywhere. It's terrifying. I was 16 years old by myself. It was awful. And so the fact that people think that women are just going in these places going, oh, I don't really feel like taking the pill, so I'm just going to have sex and get pregnant and just have an abortion. It's my birth control. No, it's not. That is not what's happening. I have, and that is not true.
Yeah, I went to a very religious school. I went to a Lutheran school, Missouri Synod. I was the spiritual life advisor on the ASB. I was supposed to be in charge of religious spiritual well-being. This is hard to talk about. I had a large car. My parents had given me a lime green Oldsmobile Delta 88 that I think sat 12 for dinner successfully. But and I was working at Disney, so I had a little bit of autonomy. Now, in the religious schools back then, when a girl got pregnant, she was whisked away, expelled, sent back to public school because they didn't want that spreading.
Shame. Yep.
They didn't want it spreading because you can catch pregnancy, evidently.
Oh yeah.
And so the cheerleaders were my friends, would let me know so and so was going to be having a sleepover at the weekend at one of her friends' house. So Friday afternoon after school, I would take them to the clinic, walk in with them, sit there, because back then they required somebody to sit to be able to take home. Yeah, it was nasty walking into those clinics. And finally, it was kind of nice in that the nurse kind of registered person who was taking care of the front, she's like, we should just get you a frequent flyer card. and she knew it wasn't me that was getting these girls pregnant. Yeah. But after the procedure, I would take them to their friend's house where they could
recover a little bit and try to
emotionally. A lot of them didn't recover. Now, keep in mind, they were telling these girls in our school that the chances of them having their own children when they were ready, if they got an abortion, were almost next to nothing. There were lies.
Those are all lies, and they do that on purpose. I had that experience in my life, and then I met Dennis, and we were engaged, and we got married, and I got pregnant right away, and I miscarried at 4 months, and I had to go through counseling and therapy because I kept thinking, oh my God, this was because I had that abortion.
Yeah, abortion, right? Oh my God,
God is punishing me for what I did, and I'm a horrible person, I'm evil, all this stuff, and I had to go through counseling just to get through that. Like, no, this just happens, it's okay. And of course, then we had Jaden and Jackson, and the freaking kids kept coming, but still, like, I mean, it was a lingering thing that I like tortured myself.
Yes,
and it was agonizing, and like this wasn't something like people don't go into this just lightly. I mean, this is like one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make.
Yeah, no. not once did the boyfriends who got these girls pregnant ever take responsibility. Not once did they ever.
Wait, the problem is the
boyfriend at the time might have paid for it. I don't know.
Not only are they not taking responsibility if the girls are unable to get the abortion, they are still not taking responsibility for it. Now we're either going to shame the girl that she got pregnant, right? And she needed an abortion because shame on you. Everybody knows your name. We don't know what little pee-pee was in you, but we're going to know who the hell you are really hard and true, right? Or we're going to call you a burden on society because you're a single mom trying to make it, and you're trying to go to school, and you're trying to do all this stuff. Like, they don't make anything easy, and it all comes down to you. And how much of all that did you feel? Like, I guarantee you, when you had that miscarriage, you felt that you had done something. Like, you never once ever would have thought it would have been anything wrong with Dennis's sperm. It had nothing to do with Dennis's sperm at all.
No, it was all my fault. It was all my fault, and I had. I mean,
not that he doesn't have great sperm. Sorry.
It could, yeah. Oh my God, Jamie, I am so sorry.
I'm gonna apologize to Dennis. This is like public domain.
Oh my God!
Like, what the F?
Oh my God! Maybe I'm offending him.
No, please. It takes a lot to offend Dennis. He lives with me, okay? But yeah, no, I know we're deviating from where we were going, but like, I mean, for me, like, a lot of it is like I see my students, and I see them, and now they really don't. They don't even have the options I had, and I'm not that old. Like, for fuck's sakes, like, they can't even. And you know what? Let's talk about, like, because I'm all about, like, we're talking about statistics, but let's talk about who this is really going to affect. This is not going to affect the governor and the mistress that he gets pregnant.
Correct.
She's still going to be able to have an abortion. But this is going to affect my students, the Black and brown students who can't access this abortion or anywhere. They don't have the money, they don't have the means, and so it's so problematic in so many fucking ways that it's
and so, if they do try, they're tracking the sites to come down and track and do something.
You can put a bounty on someone, report your neighbor for leaving the state to go have an abortion.
I mean, this is ludicrous that any woman with a fiber of being would vote for a party that is actively taking away your rights, let alone men that has any man or person that has any love of any woman in the world. How could you vote for this? How do you look? I'm sorry. I am just sorry. I don't understand how anybody thinks they have the right to tell me what the fuck to do with my body.
Yeah, they think they have the right to tell us what to do with everything. So,
my
kid can't even read a book, for fuck's sakes.
And if people can't figure out that they're trying to oppress the Black and brown community more by trying to take away more health care, pulling it out of the schools. I never got sex education between New Jersey and Florida. In New Jersey, they did it 1 year, and in Florida, they did it the year before. So I never got sex education. That's how good this school system failed me. And you know what? I'll just put it out there because I don't want Jaime to feel like she's sharing all these embarrassing stories. So, I started having sex when I was a teenager. And when I was 15 years old and had to go have my first internal ultrasound because I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, that was very embarrassing and everything. And that was not comfortable. And I did not even know how to ask for birth control. I was too embarrassed to go to the store. The fact that John and I used the pull-out method and did not get pregnant was amazing. Now, we did have the forethought for me to have the conversation with him to say, if anything were to happen, just to let you know I'm having the baby. So I did know where I would be on that, if that would come, because I like to try to make decisions before I need to be in the heat of the moment of it. However, that was something that we got very, very lucky. I never had to have an abortion, or I never got pregnant or had to have anything that came. And even when I was pregnant with Ruth, when they go to have the DNA testing, right? Like start pulling your blood, when they start doing that to check for like Down syndrome and all that kind of stuff. I remember sitting there and the doctor was asking if I wanted the triple sec test. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want that test. And he had said, well, why? And I said, well, that way we could prepare. And he said, well, first off, you're so sick that the chances of it giving you a false positive and there being nothing wrong with your baby and us having to do something that could cause you to miscarriage is higher than there actually being any validity to this stupid test to begin with. But once again, I had a choice.
Right.
And I don't understand.
Even if you think about like the procedure of like, if you want birth control, like as a woman, you need to go and get a prescription, right? Like if you're a guy, it's a teenage boy, it's probably embarrassing. I'm not a teenage boy, but it's probably embarrassing to go to the pharmacy and pick up a pack of condoms or whatever. But they don't lock them in a plastic box like they do Plan B, where you have to actually take it up to the counter and then they have to open it up and you're like completely violated because now this probably whoever's standing at the counter is making this judgment of you that you're buying this thing. Whereas, I mean, come on, like you joke around, okay, you're buying a pack of rubbers, who cares?
Right.
But like, it's just, the whole system is designed to make women feel bad all the time.
And it's not just the system; it's society in general. And we really that's the after we have a week off with fun. I know we're not going to get to the fundamentalist Christian stuff tonight.
I'm sorry, you like
kind
of veered off.
No. When this happens, it's always for a reason, and it's always good stuff that we're talking about. And this is really good stuff we're talking about. So we need to really come back and talk about why women have been shamed in their bodies. we'll tie that into Barbie, because I think Barbie.
Yes.
Ooh, I
Perfect.
love that.
Perfect.
I love that.
So we're going to be having a viewing party, and then we're going to be really talking about how Barbie, who was supposed to be this positive thing, got turned into this very negative thing, and all of the issues of slut shaming and body image,
Yes.
and
Yes.
why women are afraid to even discuss what's going on with their bodies, because if they're not running perfectly, then there's something fundamentally horrifically wrong with them.
Yep.
And it intersects me in the state that, you know, I'm told all the time, I will never be 100%. I will never be real. I will not, you know, what am I supposed to be? I can only be me, right? So
My love, you are 100% real. And
I
so
100%.
anybody that tells you that is friggin' garbage. So
yeah, I know yeah, we're going to get to it. We're really going to get to it. So let's wrap up really quick.
Yep.
These are some stats. 69% favor legality in the first trimester only for abortion. 55% opposed it in the second trimester. So you just literally, the minute you get to the second trimester, you're already, people are saying no. Over half the country is saying no, you shouldn't have an abortion. And 70% opposed it in the third.
Do you know you don't even see your GYN until your second trimester?
Right?
You don't even see your GYN till the second trimester.
But do you realize how little men and women in this country, boys and girls in this country, non-binary people in this country, our sex education system is such shit that they barely know how to avoid getting basic infections from not cleaning properly what they have. It's honest to God reprehensible that in the modern era we can't have a discussion about our bodies in a way that actually matters, and talk about reproduction in a way that matters, and talk about ways to avoid things like, oh my God, what would have happened if COVID had been a sexually transmitted disease? We're talking like Handmaid's Tale. Epidemic. We are talking the Handmaid's Tale.
Oh yeah.
Literally.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah.
But there's some good news. 63% of Americans favor allowing the abortion pill to be available as a prescription drug. A lot of us believe it should be, not even over the counter. Just here you go. But
I think it should not be so expensive, because I saw it in CVS in those plastic boxes, and it's a lot of money. It's like $50 for the one, I think, Plan B, and then there's like an off-brand name one, and it's like $49.99. So it's expensive. And so if you imagine, a lot of teenage girls are trying to access this, besides the being embarrassed of having to go to the counter and have it, taken out of a box or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. And I know that like my students don't have that kind of money. Like they can't even barely come up with $2 for a friggin' pep rally ticket. Like this is a real legit problem.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about a lot of that is that I want to make sure people understand, for the longest time, insurance didn't even cover birth control. Like for the longest time, it was not even a covered prescription. And it is used to treat more than just preventing pregnancy.
Yes,
so you have people taking it, and even no matter what their diagnosis was, because there is such a stigma against it, they could not have their medical needs paid for, because once again, we're putting all this stigma. I would love to challenge our viewers to somebody find me somewhere something that a man is not allowed to do to his body. There's a medical procedure that he is fighting for the right to regain control of his body that he's not allowed to do. Please, I need to know what it is.
Medically transition?
Oh, that's only because you want to be female.
Still.
And you see that female to males are not allowed to transition because they are female to male. So they're still being told they don't know what to do.
Yep.
You know what else we have to add? We have to we have to finish this, and we can tie it in with body image, and I think it's appropriate. Also, can we talk about like taxing tampons and shit that are
my God, yes, please.
Yes,
please. Let's talk about that and how ridiculous it is.
We don't have to talk about it tonight, but like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I really want to talk about that one because that's ridiculous. Why aren't they holding that
in the morning?
shit? No, but on the next show. We need an entire show
Not on the next
talking
show,
about
on
blood.
The show after.
The
Yeah,
show
like
after. And
Mama
I promise
actually
I won't be
rose.
sick.
We're gonna have some good.
We're gonna have fun.
We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna take a week off. Now, 52% of America's pro-choice right now, so that's good news. So it needs to be pointed out that this pro-life bullshit that's happening isn't even the majority of the country. How this shit is getting passed.
Well, I will add, my last thing I'm going to add on this is that last year, Dempsey and I were in DC because we were meeting with White House officials.
Yeah.
Because, Dempsey is Dempsey and I just tag along as her mom. But I was like, we have to go.
I thought she was getting sworn in.
Not yet.
Madam Secretary.
I told her like we had to go see the Supreme Court because they had just overturned Roe versus Wade. And so maybe not the best mother decision I've ever made because I didn't anticipate how volatile it would be in front of the Supreme Court. And so it's me and Dempsey, and it is like full out fighting. I mean, like people are fighting. It was protests. People were like fighting each other. I'm ducking. Dempsey's like, Mom, what the hell is this? Like, I go to protest, but people aren't like beating the shit out of each other. And I was like, oh my God, like I really shouldn't have brought my small child here. Like this is bad, like there was police everywhere. So people are angry. I mean, like this is like it's more than a hot button topic. I mean, this is like fucking people are furious. And like, I see my students now and like, this is something that this is like unfathomable to them. Like, how is this happening? How did they have less rights than I did as a 45-year-old woman? I had more rights in the 90s than they have
it's
now.
ridiculous and it's so not fair. And that's not the way this is supposed to be. You're always supposed to want better for your children.
Yes, you are. And we're going backwards.
And if we educate, it all comes back again to education. If we educated, people could make better choices, but they really don't understand. So I'm going to bring it full circle now.
Yes.
Again, I almost took my own life. I desperately wanted not to be trans. I will live with regret for the rest of my life for the damage I did to myself and others fighting against who and what I am. I found peace and joy and love in my transition and living my truth as a transgender woman. The people who are my friends now know and see me living my truth. Living in personal faith with a loving God, trying my best to reflect his love and light in the world. My life is a grim fairy tale. It's with a happy ending. Honestly, the biggest fear I have now isn't the hate that surrounds people like me, isn't from the people that hate us. It's the fear that I will somehow lose access to life-saving treatment, that I will have to go back. And Laura said the most beautiful thing to me, and I'm going to let her read what she said.
So I just simply told Miss Vicki, you don't have to worry about pinching yourself and waking up. This is not a dream. This is your life. You have friends that see you and love you for you. You don't have to pretend. You never have to go back to the person you were before. That is what growth is.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't have access to care, we're putting you in the trunk, bitch, and we're taking you to another state where you have care.
That's right. We'll get you there.
You
Who
don't
needs
even
to
have
go
to camping. I
camping?
was just saying that to be funny. You can sit next to me. You can sit shotgun.
Yeah. Who needs to go camping? My idea of camping, I just need to make sure everybody's aware of this beforehand. My idea of camping is going to Motel 6. So, like, we're not actually going to go.
I thought you said Motel 6, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
What the hell?
Motel 6! Motel 6!
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
I think honestly, Laura, you're in more danger from some of the shit in the Motel 6 rooms than you are out in the woods.
I agree with you.
I agree. 500%.
The black light in the Motel 6
I will fight to my last breath for transgender rights, for reproductive rights for all people, for bodily autonomy, for feminism, for us to live in fucking peace on this rock without trying to dictate who the fuck somebody else is or what somebody, it honestly, it doesn't make any sense.
We all can only do ourselves. That's it.
Right. So we're going to be back next week, Mama Ashley Rose, and we're going to be back to say goodbye right after this. And that was big, exciting news, too, that Laura is going to be back doing her audio podcast as well. She's trying to commit to as many as she can during the year. She's not going to kill herself doing it, thank God. No. But she is going to be back interviewing people.
I've already scheduled my first one, too. So, yay! So, I'm very excited about that.
Love you, ladies. Honest to God, love you. And thank you
for being in my life.
Yeah, it's our life now. But like you said, we're woven into the fabric of each other's lives in a beautiful way.
Yep.
And next week, pajama party. It's time for some bedtime stories with Mama Ashley Rose, and we'll see you on the other side. Watch the credits. I hide shit in it, people. You should be learning by now.
It's like Easter eggs. Easter eggs. And I'd be looking for stuff at the Halloween party too.
Oh yes.
There's gonna be hidden things.